Ndinga ntakanding. Most people see the letters CFA and they assume that tells the entire story. But behind those letters, there's a whole journey and a whole story that somebody had to go through. Today, we sit with someone who's actually lived that journey and recently walked it, actually. He's still within his first year of the CFA journey. So welcome to the Charters table. I'm glad you could join me to have this conversation. I'm actually quite excited to chat to you today. I think your journey is quite interesting and it's one that would resonate with many people.
Yeah, so thank you for having me. I've really been looking forward to this. So my name is Yaseed. My surname's Amod. I think an interesting fact about me that not many people know is that I'm a massive fan of rally racing. So I really enjoy that and I watch it on a monthly basis.
And what about, do you watch F1?
No. Nah, I don't watch F1. Reason being, I might get a lot of hate from this, but it's just sort of a level track. It's not very off the cuff as rally racing, where they have to make their decisions, they have to sort of make up their mind in a split second as to whether they take this turn or that turn.
Yeah.
Because any mishap, just in a split second, can cause the car to sort of tumble. F1, it's not really, but I might get some hate from that.
Starting from me.
Yeah.
Okay, that's quite interesting. The one thing I wanted to maybe we start at is, so you're a CFA charter holder.
Yes.
So well done on that.
Yeah, thank you.
When did you complete that?
I completed it in 2025 November. And then I officially became a charter holder in December 2025.
Sure.
Yeah.
So firstly, well done on that.
Yeah, thank you.
I know it's quite a difficult journey. And so today we're actually going to unpack that and maybe just get to understand a bit of your journey a bit more. So maybe let's start here. When did you first hear about the CFA and then just walk us through that journey?
So the first time I heard about the CFA program was through my supervisor in my final year of university, which was 2022. He spoke to me about it, and as soon as I left his office, everything he spoke to me about that program left my brain as well. I think I had bigger things that were on my mind at the time, like my thesis, for example. So speaking to me about another program when I haven't really finished my degree was, I didn't really show interest. But then I managed to land an internship at Kamisa Asset Management through Abdul Davids, who is the current head of research at the company.
Yes.
And when I joined the internship, I noticed these 3 letters pop up at the end of most people's names at the company. So this is probably some serious like qualification. So obviously I had to ask and inquire about it. And yeah, they basically told me it was a very important and well-respected qualification in the industry. And if I was serious about joining the investment industry, I should probably pursue it. So you could say that's the second time I actually encountered the CFA program, and we actually did my own investigation as to what it is, and if it's something that I actually want to do. Yeah.
So you've obviously spoken about the times that you've heard about the charter, right, and the journey. But like, what was that turning point for you when you actually registered for the exam?
So about 2 months after my internship, I actually got interviewed by you. You were the interviewer, if that's the right word. And you were really nice to me. Like, you treated me like quite nice. And we got chatting. I know when the interview ended, we got chatting. And at the end of that conversation, he really nudged me to pursue my CFA level 1 exam, or to register at least. And when I left there, I thought about it. When I left the sort of the interview, I thought about it, and everything that you said. And the very next morning, I woke up, I freshened up, and I registered for level 1. Yeah, and the rest was history from there.
Jeez, that's quite interesting. Oh wow. So turns out it was a good thing that we did have that interview.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
It's quite an honor to have been part of your journey in that way. So the one thing is, a lot of people, you do tell things to people, but sometimes maybe the soil is not fertile yet to actually take that seed. So from the looks of it, for me, is that you were actually ready to have received that seed at that point in time, because I mean, you had conversations with a few people before. So in as much as you want to give the credit to me for that, but I think it was all you're doing because you were actually ready at the time. I just happened to deliver the message at that point in time. So, but well done to you on
Yeah,
going through
thank you.
the journey. So how was level 1?
Level 1 was a bit intimidating, in terms of the amount of things that you had to know. But I think as you go through the different sections, you end up getting a sense of relief as soon as you go from, let's say, the first to the second to the third to the fourth. You do get a sense of relief because you've finished it. And even though you might have not remembered things, I think the brain is a very complex machine that you end up knowing things unconsciously. So you would see a question, like let's say you're practicing and you for level 1, and you'd see a question and you don't really remember it. But I mean, if you read that question the second or the third time, you'll eventually like figure out the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was pretty much level 1. It was very, I think so like I said, it's intimidating at first, but once you really read through the material and you go through it, you end up seeing it's not that bad. it's not that much. Yeah.
Okay. And then did you experience any like lows during your journey, or was it just like you just sailed through it?
I think for level 1, some of the lows were, I think, just the volume of work. Like I would sometimes stress that, like I've got like the first and the second section, like, and it's like a month or a few months, like maybe 2 months before I need to write the exam, and I have no clue what's going on in financial statements anymore because I've just forgotten like everything. But again, like the brain is a complex thing, so like somehow I ended up remembering a lot of things from sections that I've claimed to forgotten. But I think it's, the volume of the work was my only low, and sort of not being able to remember. But yeah,
that is a fair one, because I mean, for that exam, like with any of these exams, basically writing. It's like 10 subjects in one paper. So, and it's in 2.5 hours or so. So that is quite something. How did you feel about the cameras though? Like, because there's cameras in the rooms when you walk in. It just...
Oh, I'm not aware. I don't think
Did you remember? No, like when you walk into the exam room, there's all these cameras.
Oh, yes.
You have to get tested. And
So I made sure to focus on my screen only. Because I actually read on, like, sometimes I would just go on Reddit and I would read, like, so how did you fail your CFA level 1 exam? And they were like, I accidentally looked at someone's screen and the camera picked it up. So I was like very focused on my own screen. I was like, I'm not failing because I'm going to get caught cheating.
Yeah, that is true. I can also remember that, especially with the screens, because some of the screens were quite big. So if you just look
like they're
up,
huge. Like there's no way you can't see someone else's like screen, but like you can't really make out
Yeah.
like what's going on there.
It's quite an interesting one. And then what were your highs then during the journey?
Learning to understand the concepts rather than just sort of saying, okay, I know X, Y, Z. It was understanding and applying it and speaking to other people about it. I think that's when I learned the most. If I truly understand something or I don't, because people tend to pick up when you're speaking nonsense and when you're not speaking
That
nonsense,
is true, yeah.
especially other chart holders. You could maybe get around speaking nonsense to someone who's not a chart holder, but when you're speaking to someone that's a chart, they'll quickly tell you like you don't make sense. Sort of refine your response. And then it's also meeting other chart holders. I mean, throughout my journey, I met quite a few senior charter holders, and they face would always light up when I say I'm studying for level 1 or for level 2. And we weren't very familiar with each other, but as soon as I mentioned that, they would always say, okay, you can email me or sort of send me a message on Teams or take my number. If you need any help, I'll try to help you, even though I've done it like 10 years ago. Their face would always light up. So it always created like a heartwarming sensation for me because I felt part of a community. So yeah, that was great.
Sure. That's an interesting highlight. I think, yeah, I think we in the society and the community actually of charter holders, it's always quite interesting to see somebody who has the audacity actually to go through this journey, because it is quite long. So can I ask you a question? Would you consider yourself the average candidate that spent the 300 hours, or you did 150 half the time, or you did way more than that?
So whenever people ask me how long I've studied, I say, please don't use me as a benchmark. I'm like the worst person to use as a benchmark for hours. So the first level, I was quite religious in my studying. I probably studied more than what I was supposed to. Um, but level 2, I was getting engaged that same year.
Oh, nice.
So I couldn't really study as much. Well, I could have actually studied as much, but I had other things on my plate.
Yes.
So I had to balance that, and then with work as well, and then studying. So I didn't study as much as I would like, but I took about 9 months. So I think I had a fair amount of time. I know people usually take it a bit quicker, a bit shorter rather. And then level 3 I was completely inconsistent because I was planning to get married. So now there's even more stress.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would not consider myself an average candidate or however you say for studying. I was very inconsistent. I had to balance a lot of things. Because at the end of the day, you have other responsibilities as well.
Yeah.
You're also a human. You need to take time off for yourself. You can't be studying 14, 15 hours a day. Unless you can, then go for it.
Yes.
But I wasn't someone that could study for so long. I quickly had to get the balance between in the mornings I would study, sort of on the weekends. So let's say it's Friday to Sunday or Saturday to Sunday, I would study in the morning as much as I can. And afternoons and evenings I would socialize. Because I couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't study on a Saturday night.
No, it's actually quite hard.
Yeah, that's not gonna work.
And so, yes, because also like at some point you use the word balance, but I'm sure it's not like really balance. It's
No, it's trying to fit in.
all the
It's trying to fit in fun, or it's trying to fit in a break, like somewhere in that studying schedule, that study schedule. You don't really want to mess up your study schedule, but you also want to take a reasonable break at the same time. So it's not really a balance. It's more of I don't know, working around things.
Yeah, yeah. So I think the one thing that you did mention is so there's a few life stages that you went through while you were studying. So that's what also makes it hard, right? It's not the fact that, I mean, you since you've gotten a degree, you went through high school and all those things, so you have the ability to study. It's just that there's all these other competing things that happen in your life. And you sort of go through life stages. So some people have kids, and then all of a sudden they don't have the same amount of time to dedicate. So that's what also adds to the difficulty. And I'm gonna use inverted commas now because, like you said, I don't think it's the hardness of the exam itself. It's just the volume that you then have to go through. What did you expect to feel after qualifying? And yes.
So I expected to feel a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment because I did it over 3 years. So it felt like I was getting another degree basically. And that's basically what I felt. I felt a sense of relief, like fulfillment. I was quite proud of myself. But then immediately I was like, what do I do now? Like, if all I know is studying and like learning things, I was like, I'm not quite sure what I should do with myself now because I have too much free time.
It's amazing.
It's like, do I get another? Do I do the CIPM? Do I do Kaya? Yeah, I was quite unsure what to do with myself, but I really felt proud of myself that I could accomplish the CFA program. Yeah.
Okay. So hold that thought because I'm going to come back to it. But there's a question I want to maybe explore a bit more. What were the first 90 days like for you? So this is now from the time you got that email, which is recent.
Yeah.
So what has that been like?
So the first 90 days, or rather, let's just say however many days.
Yes.
I think my confidence has changed after getting the qualification. I'm not shy to show or speak that I'm curious about things, especially to other individuals that might be in senior roles at the company. And I tend to be a bit more open as well. I'm not sure what the CFA has done to me, but it's made me more sort of lively and open as sort of, but that's more on the personal development side. Yeah, it really hasn't changed. My title hasn't changed.
Yes.
My salary hasn't changed.
I was going to get to that.
But I think the acknowledgement and the treatment that I get from others who are either deciding to become a chart holder or on that journey already, who are chart holders, I can sense there's a big difference in the treatment. It's like they look up to you,
Yes.
either as their equals or as someone that they want to aspire to be, and that's always a nice feeling to have.
Sure. Wow. So you've said a lot there. But the one thing for me that I realize about the CFA journey is it's about the person you become in the process of achieving the charter. So I think that's where the question was more coming from, is just to say that the reason why you're a bit more curious now and you have that confidence is because you know that you are able to achieve hard things. Like, that's the one thing about it. And that was the one thing that I learned about myself. I was like, oh no, if I don't know it, I'll know it.
Yeah.
I don't know it yet. So I think for me, the part that was important, it was the yet. So you're saying nothing has actually changed, really? But it has.
Yeah,
You just
yeah.
don't know it yet.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's the yet. So the one thing I once read was that to say that the change doesn't come immediately, and also when it does come, you don't really notice it. But trust me, the way you get seen, the way you get treated, and all those things has definitely changed, and it comes from the fact that you this person who, I think it's more, you've got resilience, you've got stamina, you can manage all these things that you've obviously spoken about in terms of life. So that you are that person that can do those things, and that's something that I think anyone would appreciate in whoever they employ at that point in time. So I think what I wanted to also maybe just go back to was your studying technique. Did you find yourself using the same techniques that you used when you were doing your undergrad and in high school, or did you now have to maybe figure out a new way of studying?
I'll give you a short answer. No. I used the same techniques that I used in undergrad, which was reading through the material and then doing the questions immediately after. I'd say it comes to your detriment some point in your studying journey, because you can't do the questions after you've just learned the concepts, because of course you would know
I
them.
remember, yeah.
So I learned to shift my questions and push them on the weekends and study the concepts in the weekday,
Yeah.
so that I can get confused enough to still try and struggle with the questions on the weekends, for example. And that was the same technique I used in my undergrad.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Why didn't you save me this time? Because I used to write and I used highlighters and pens and all these things. This is now in my high school. And then when I got to CFA, I quickly realized I can't do that.
You can't be writing those books out. Those is like 7 books. It'll take forever.
Yeah. So you could have saved me all this time, actually. But yeah, no, I think that was also another thing. You have to learn to adapt to the environment that you're in at that point in time. And then, yeah. And then how did you, how did you find the exam? Like, when you're going to write the exam, how did you find yourself? Like, how was your mood and all those things?
So I actually have a funny story for the first level. I think it was for the first level. So I had everything packed, like the night before. I even had the clothes that I was going to wear to the exam. And then, the morning I woke up, I got done everything. I drove there, and I realized as I got there, as I'm registering and I'm sitting there, where's my calculator?
Oh, jeez.
And my calculator's at home. So I quickly had to phone my dad, and this was like 15 minutes before we sort of going into the exam room. And he had to drive through town. I think I'm not sure how he still made it on time to hand me that calculator. But if I hadn't gotten that calculator, I think that would have been the end of my journey there. Because I was stressing. But in terms of how the exams were, I think it all depends on how you are as an individual. I'm very nervous when it comes to exams. Even though I won't really show it, I try and be nonchalant when it comes to exams, but like deep down, I'm like terrified. And I don't think it's because I don't know the things. It's just, I think I always have a slight probability that I might not know something.
Yes.
And that might just cause a tailwind in the exams where I don't know anything after that question. But I think it depends on how you are. So I'm just giving a subjective view of my exam experience.
I usually fell sick.
I was like, sometimes I would think, why am I doing this to myself? It's like no one's forcing me.
Speaking of which, right, you've had those moments of maybe self-doubt, but why am I even doing this? But what kept you going then through those times?
I think it was the career progression. I noticed at the early stage that a lot of junior, senior analysts had the CFA, as well as portfolio managers. And that was the career progression that I wanted. And I wasn't going to let the qualification sort of stop me from doing that. But I knew the CFA would definitely help me get it. So we decided to be friends rather than sort of argue with each other. And I'm speaking about the
Yes,
CFA.
yeah, okay.
So that's why I continue to do it rather than sort of pull out, even though there was a lot of self-doubt at some stages. But I managed to overcome it with seeing the future,
Okay.
or,
That's a
or seeing where I would be in the future.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good way of looking at it. Treat it as a friend as
Yeah,
opposed
yeah,
to it's not
yeah.
the enemy
Yeah,
here.
it's not you.
Yeah. And then is there anything in the past, like so when you're growing up, that you think would have prepared you for a journey like this one? So maybe in high school or primary, a teacher.
So I always had a natural calling to finance, and I think that's because my family comes from a business background. So they've owned wholesalers and stores and things like that. But none of them really pursued the investment side of finance. It was more on the business side, if that makes sense. But I think I always wanted to be different at a very young age. Um, so obviously I couldn't just sort of go into business. I had to go into investments.
Yes, yeah.
So I always had a natural calling to it. And when I found out about investments, I think I was in high school.
Sure.
I was like, I'm definitely doing, and I found out through Wall Street, not through Wall Street, what's that movie? The Wolf
Wolf
of
of
Wall
Wall
Street.
Street. Oh, nice.
I was like, I want to be a broker, but not this broker. um, and I think that's where I started enjoying it and doing research before I actually decided to study it. I was like, I'm definitely going into investments. There's nothing else.
Sure. That's an interesting fact that you, growing up, you actually had exposure to business and also over time you had there's this nick to want to be different. So has your experiences then been met? So what you expected to see happening in investments then like filtered through into to where you are now?
Partially. Um,
Is it because the movie set up a high
yeah, no,
benchmark?
yeah. So the movie set a really high benchmark, but then I quickly came to figure out that he went to prison, and that's not where I want to be. So that dampened my hopes of being a stockbroker, as they would say. But then I found out there's like other amazing careers as well. It's like going from an analyst to a portfolio manager, and things like that. Um, so I think I'm still on that career journey of shifting into there. I am an analyst, but
Yes.
not an analyst that I would like to be in the near future. So I would say I'm still in the very early stages
Yeah.
of where I would like to be. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the one thing about careers. Nobody ever tells you this, but you you started one place and then over time you see new things and you get exposed to new information, and then as you get more information then you're able to adapt and make changes as needs be. So I'd say like it's a journey.
Yeah.
Like literally it is a journey because you don't just figure out the one thing and then that's
Yeah.
what you do for the rest of your life. Yeah. So like for example with me, you know this, I've pivoted and found my way around, and that's how it goes, and it's just the nature of the beast. Yeah. And then did you have a favorite subject in high school and in university?
So funny enough, my favorite subject in high school was accounting. I really enjoyed accounting, and then accounting, economics, and maths. I really enjoyed them. In university, I think I just enjoyed economics and stats. Those were the two that really made sense to me the most, because I understood how like things work and how it can be applied in the real world. I wasn't a big fan of any abstract subjects, like things that are not very pragmatic. But it's important to learn, like, nevertheless.
Yes. So you actually have a neck for numbers then.
Yeah, you
Ah,
could
I
say
see.
so.
Because that even your LinkedIn has got like a formula, mathematical
Uh,
formula somewhere.
yeah, the AIC, PIC,
Yeah.
prediction. Well, it scores the prediction basically. Yeah.
Sure. And then, so can you predict now who's gonna win the World Cup?
No.
So your favorite subject during CFA? What was that?
It was definitely the fixed income section and the derivative section. I enjoyed that quite a bit because it made sense as to why things would be implemented the way it is. And then also the economic section. That was the three sections that I enjoyed quite a lot.
We really like economics, eh?
Yeah. I try to make sense of the madness sometimes. And I think economics can be very theoretical sometimes. And when you look at the real world, it doesn't tie up to what is said in that textbook
Yeah.
sometimes. And I think that's what I find very intriguing. He's trying to make sense of the madness.
Sure, that's quite interesting. And then I think for me, fixed income and derivatives were my hardest. They were my hardest ones during my studies. I've got a few stories about fixed income and its questions. I think this one should be interesting because it's still new for you. So, what do the letters mean for you now?
I think, well, I know it means, this is a tricky one. I haven't thought about it, but I think it means that I'm part of a global community of charterholders that were all going through this journey and that have now sort of accomplished it. But that journey doesn't really end there. It continues. I think the end of your CFA journey is just the beginning of your actual journey. It means being part of a global community that are all sort of striving towards maybe not a singular goal, but I think our goals are very similar if you take a high level view of all of us.
Okay. And then, so I remember earlier on we spoke about how you have all this free time now. So I wanted to go back to that conversation and I wanted to understand how you're filling up that time now.
So I'm not filling up that time, so that's the thing. I try to fill them up with the CFA materials that they send you. So they'll send you like a newsletter or articles. I try to do it, but it's nothing quite like CFA because there's no. I think it's because there's no exam at the end of it.
Yes.
So yeah, I am considering doing CIPM, but then I'm also thinking, what do I do after that? So yeah, I need to be strategic
Yes.
in what I pick. But yeah.
Yeah, so I think, that's the hard one, right? It's after you've climbed this mountain, now you have all this time. I also struggled with the same question, actually. That's how I ended up doing CIPM. And then that was finished.
Yeah,
Then what
then-
do you do?
yeah.
So now we're having these conversations as a continuation of that journey. Initially mentioned that there's people that you speak to candidates and stuff like that. So, like, what else is that your way of giving back, or ensuring that the next person is lifted up or has an opportunity or has access? Is that your way of doing that?
So chatting to individuals that are just starting their journey, so they might just be doing level 1, I'm always quite keen, and I think my face lights up as well when I hear them studying for CFA. And I'm
Yes.
not sure why it's the case, but it's like we have this, like everyone who's studying for CFA, we all have this connection that you just get quite excited when you hear someone studying for CFA. So I try to chat to a lot of the younger people, even though I'm myself quite young. I'm only 25.
Jeez.
Um, and I would either encourage them to do CFA if they're serious about it, or I would try and assist them in any way or form if they are on their journey with any concepts and understanding and clarity and things like that. So you could say it's sort of my way of giving back.
Okay. So it's quite interesting that you say you are 25 and you're a charter holder. If you look at the stats, like a lot of the charter holders are probably around 35 plus ish. So you're definitely part of a very small group of people in the country actually, that have walked this journey at such an early stage. So your career is actually it's looking quite bright. So the few decisions that you make now will inform a lot of that. But we've gotten the hard thing out now, so it's like for you to enjoy
Yeah.
the fruits of this labor. And it comes through knowledge, it comes through time, and meeting the right people and having those conversations. I think it is what you make of it, and you've already started on that journey. But what was the one thing that you wish you knew when you started working, or when you started your journey, that you know now?
Not to overthink, and grab any opportunity that comes your way, whether it be from a career perspective or personal perspective. Grab any opportunity because it might not come your way again.
How do you maintain humility in this entire thing?
I think the struggle is enough, to keep you humble. Um, like sometimes you would hear about others who you might have studied with or might have been on the same journey and they might have not passed specific level. Um, and I mean, you feel bad, because you've seen the work that they put in. I mean, you know them, you end up knowing them quite closely and personally. And now you have to wait another 6 months to write the exam. So I think my struggle and the struggle that I saw others go through, really kept me quite humble through the journey. And I think it will probably still continue. Well, not probably, it will actually continue to keep me humble.
That I think that is quite true, because one of the things about this journey, right, is that firstly you don't pass with a 50%,
No,
right?
no.
So, and the pass mark changes according to the the batch of the class and how everyone performs. So it's always like a relative thing. So even like somebody who fails an exam, you could find that they had a 68%,
Yeah, they
and
could
you
have.
got a 69%.
Yeah, they just missed the ball.
Yes.
So it's
So you can easily be on the other side very quickly. So it's just something to always keep in mind, that whether you pass or fail, it's not a reflection of your capabilities, but more of sometimes it's just a function of the exam. Like you said, remember yourself, you said you left your calculator at home.
yeah, no, yeah. I think people tend to forget that they're human and they expect instant gratification or things should always go the right way. But I mean, life doesn't always sort of take you on a linear path. It tends to be up and downs. And I think people tend to beat themselves up because of that. Um, and yeah, it's life. You should deal with it, especially those ups and downs, because it really builds. Yeah, it essentially builds who you are at the end of the day.
So resilience is a very important thing,
Yeah.
through it all. Yeah. And I think as somebody who works in markets, right, investments, or that's the one thing that you eventually learn, that like this place will humble you, because you think you know things, and then
Yeah,
something
no.
happens,
Yeah,
and then
it works the complete opposite. Or
Yeah.
things are not doing what you think they're supposed to do, and you can't really explain it. But eventually, you come to learn how things operate.
Yes. Yes. You mentioned earlier on that you like AI, right? There's an interest in AI, and I wanted to know, we are now living in the time where things are changing, and you're seeing the impact of AI, and you're hearing about some of the jobs that might not necessarily be there in a few years' time. What's your thinking around that? Like, are you scared of that, or is this you seeing it as an opportunity for you?
I think AI might reduce the need for junior analysts, which I'm worried about. Um, just because AI is extremely advanced. It's ridiculous. The way it analyzes things and the speed at which it can analyze things. It can essentially do what a junior analyst is doing. And I'm worried because a junior analyst is essentially that initial gateway into
Yeah.
your career projection.
Yeah.
Or and if you miss that, you might end up in a place where you don't want to be. Um, so I know it's going to reduce our junior analysts, and that's what I fear the most.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think with a country such as ours, for example, I'm not even looking like in the US. They've got like, was it five? Like the unemployment rate is below 5%, and in other countries, and then you look at in our country, we're sitting at
yeah, we're
just
sitting quite high.
just above 30. I don't want to misquote the number, and then youth unemployment is even higher than that. So for us, like as a country, I think the impact is much more meaningful, and it will impact us quite a bit. And it's something that in the spaces that I do find myself in, to try and maybe converse how we could how we deal with that, because it is something that we have to consider. And also maybe, wait, do we have jobs then in the future?
Yeah, yeah.
'Cause
Because if they're coming for the junior analysts, it's only time they come for the senior
yeah,
analysts.
so I
Yeah.
think we're all impacted by it. But I think the pace at which technology is changing is quite insane. And I mean, you said you're 25 now, so so I mean, I've seen a lot of the changes that have happened over this, but maybe just touching on some technological changes. What's the one that you've seen?
I think um, I think AI has been the biggest. I would say moving from your more traditional software to coding, but I think that's always been around. I think the shift was just maybe slightly slower in some companies than others. But I think AI is is sort of a major technological advancement that's being made, especially I can see at my current company. We are exploring ways to create AI agents to make our jobs easier.
Sure.
But it's only time that they probably take over what we do as well. So it seems like we're going to be babysitting AI, if that's the case.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. But just the interesting change I saw in my growing up was actually just getting smartphones. Because we moved from, I think there was, have you ever seen a 3310? Nokia
yeah,
3310, yes.
yeah, those
So
bricks.
so from like those phones into like just getting a BlackBerry, for example, that was a big thing that I saw. And or maybe also moving from the flip phones.
Yeah, I can remember moving from a BlackBerry to a touch screen, and it was like, why was a BlackBerry a thing like the buttons? It was,
Yeah, but we do miss those days of
yeah.
the 60 rand airtime, and then you've got internet for the year. What would you consider like the one thing that you would say has defined your journey so far? So maybe is it a quote? Do you have a quote that would say that, yeah, this is something that reflects me, or a line or story, something to that effect?
So this took me a while to, well, not to come up with, but to rather articulate. But I think this might be more addressed to the young people. So people who are actually not, I shouldn't say young people, other people who's sort of on their journey or either entering the workforce as well. That success is a journey and not a destination. When it comes to the CFA, it's a marathon about understanding the concepts rather than a race to get done. I know honestly I could have finished the exams much shorter than 3 years, but I know if I didn't take as long as I did, I wouldn't have met half the people that I have, and I wouldn't have understood the concepts as well as I do at this moment. So I think the key takeaway is really focus on understanding the concepts rather than just trying to pass the exams. Even though passing the exams is quite important, also you don't
Yes.
become a charter holder. But understanding the concepts is really where the value add comes in, because once you understand the concepts, you will pass the exam.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. Wow. You just, with what you just said, that's actually spot on. You just reminded me of something one of my CIOs said to me when I was studying. He told me that you don't want to be the charter holder without the knowledge.
Yeah, that's the thing I feared as well. Like, I think that's when people start rushing to understand things and they don't really understand it. And you can notice when a chart holder sort of did that. It's very clear.
Sure.
So
Wow. Yeah.
yeah.
No, I'm glad we're on the same page as that one, because it's quite embarrassing to say you know something then you don't
Yeah,
really
and
know it.
yeah, you're not quite sure what you're talking about.
Yeah, no. Yaseed, thank you so much for being with us today. I think, yeah, hearing your story, your journey, has just reminded me the importance of, firstly, exposure and access. It truly does make a difference in terms of what you end up deciding to do next, because you then have the tools to actually decide what you want to do, as opposed to not doing something because you didn't know about it. So once more, well done and congratulations on being a charter holder.
Thank you.
If you have any questions, submit a question via email at info@thecharterstable.co.za.